Hello everybody. This is a video where I will go over two simple programs, but I will use or start from creating new projects and then creating new class for these two programs. So this is my Eclipse IDE that I have open. So I'm going to go to File, New, and select a Java project. And this one I'm going to call it simple application. Remember, this is my project folder, and inside the project folder would I have my classes. So I'm going to click on next, and now I'm going to finish, and this should create a simple application folder so I can fold my basic shapes and come to my simple application. It creates a source file, and in this source file I can right click, go to new, and create a new class, and now I can write the name of my class. So this program that I'm going to write is a simple application which would check to see if the number that a user input is going to be an odd number or an even number. So I'm just going to say odd, even. Okay, public, and I'm going to have the template created for me, and I would click on the generate comments, and here is my new template that I had created. So it creates some comments for me, so I can come in and say, this is always a good programming practice to write your name, maybe date, and say simple Java program to determine if number is odd or even. The program is interactive, which means I am not going to hard code any of the codes in here. I'm just going to ask the user to input the values. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have to create a scanner object. So if I say scanner, and let's say I call it scanner in equals new scanner system.in, so this would create my object called in, and as soon as I type this one, you see that I have an error that my ID is showing, and if I click on it, it says it is missing that import statement. So I can double click it, and it creates the import statement for me. So now I'm going to write system.out.print, and if you go at the very bottom, you have a print line with right here, print line string. Anyway, I can probably type it in, just have to find it from there, print line, and I'm going to say enter an integer number. So the next thing I need to do is I'm going to take that number, and the way I would find my odd or even is to try to divide that by 2 and see if I get a remainder, and if I do get a remainder, then it is odd number, but if I do not get a remainder, then it is an even number. So I'm going to write a very simple condition statement, which is my if, and I have to define a variable, and I'm going to say int number. Okay, and if I say enter an integer number, and the next thing I need to do is store that value in my variable called number, and the way I would do it is by saying in, because that's my object that I created called in, and I'm going to use my method called next int. So I'm already getting some assist from my compiler. So I'm going to take that value, store it in this variable called number, and then I'm going to write this condition, and I say if number, remember this is my remainder operation, so it's not divide but it's the remainder. So I would do this and say if number, if there's a remainder, equals 0, and I would start my curly brackets, end my curly bracket right away. And the way I can do it is by just starting my curly bracket and hit my enter, and this would create my body for me. Now if there is only one statement, I do not need to do that, but it's always a good programming practice. And I'm going to say system.out.println number is odd, and I can even display the number, okay, if I need to. Now I can write another if statement here, and this time I'm going to say if number to not equals 0, okay, then system.out.println number is even. Sorry, if it is 0, then number is even, and if it is not equal to 0, then number is odd, and then give the number. Okay, so now print line I see. I can use this printf method, and then I can do a placeholder %d and /n, and this one I can do the same thing, %d /n. printf, right? So now I have the program created, so let's run it. And yes, it's the odd even. Okay, enter an integer number, and I say 57, and it says number is odd, and somehow this is not showing correctly, because I need to probably come in and do a %, /n to get rid of the /n from here, but that's a little formatting error. So very simple application that I create. Now one thing I can do is, instead of writing two if statement, I could have even done something like this, where I say else, because it's only one condition, so I can comment this part out and just write out my system.out.println number is odd. Okay, I could have even done this, and system is odd, it should be 2, and that should take care of this. Else system.out.println. Oh, I have 2 of these things, so I need to get rid of 1. All right, so now everything should be good. I should not have any error. Okay, enter an integer number. So I want to see if my else is working properly. So I'm going to put in 59, actually 59, and it says the number is odd. So instead of having to do another if statement, I could also do something like this. Hello everybody. This is a short video where I would go over a couple of very simple Java application, but I would use NetBeans as my ID. So when you open your NetBeans, this is your first page that you would see, and every time you create a document, it would create a separate tab. So I'm going to close out some of these tabs, and this is how the interface is going to look. The one to the left is your package or your hierarchy, which shows some of the files or the projects that you have. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new project, and once I create a new project, I can choose my Java application and click on next, and it actually shows me where by default my project is going to be created. So this is my default path, my documents NetBeans projects. If you would like, you can always change it to something else. So you just have to do it by going through browse and creating that folder or creating that structure that you would like to store all your files in. In NetBeans, it will ask me for a project name, and the project name that you use, it is also going to be used for creating its main class. Okay, so let's and this program that I want to do is a very simple program, since we are in the early stages of learning the language, where we would write an application which is going to square, cube, the application would actually take some numbers and square and cube that particular number. So let me go over the program. Very simple. So I would start off by writing my class, my main method, and I created a variable called choice, and I'll tell you why later on. What I did was I basically had the user input a variable. But before I do that, let me just go over this part where I'm basically setting up this system out print line, where I have a %s. Remember, this is a printf, not a print line, printf. So this is my string, and then a tab, another string, %s, another tab, and then another string, and then a new line. And then I have these three things that I want to display. So as you can see, number, square, and cube that I display. And then I start off with an x equals 0. So the first time it's 0, 0, and 0. So basically this setup right here is kind of setting it up with that space. So number, square, cube, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then what I wanted to do was also make it interactive. So I created a new in object with this new statement, and then I asked the question for the users to input a value, stored that value in this variable that I had defined earlier here as a choice, and then use the system out printf to again rewrite this number, square, and cube and display my value. But instead of x now, I'm going to use the value that I have stored in choice. So that's my value, that's my squared value, and that's my cubed value. And then I have a statement saying thank you for using my program. I compiled the program, and this is my output. So here is the first part, which is all hard-coded, and the second part is where I am making it interactive. I ask the user to input a value, they input 55, and then I come and display the number, the square, and the cube, and then thank them for using my program. So very simple application where I wrote a Java program using NetBeans as my editor. Thank you.